안녕하세요 여러분! So in last episode we've discussed a grammatical principle that helps us describe our thoughts and opinions and judgments and things like that. And today I decided to introduce a couple more things that also help us describe same things, however in a bit of a different way. First of all, what we discussed last episode doesn't actually mean to think, like if you translate it literally. If you want to know what it means, head over to the previous episode and you'll have it all right there. As for what we're talking about today, I want you guys to know that Korean actually has a specific word dedicated to thinking, and that is 생각하다. So using this word, we're naturally able to describe our thoughts. Here's an example. 그녀가 예쁘다고 생각했어요. And it means I thought this girl was pretty. 생각했어요, I thought. 그녀가, the girl. Whenever we're using 생각하다, the verbs or adjectives that come before it, we just leave them unconjugated, we leave them in their infinitive form, and we just add 고. 예쁘다고, 어렵다고, 아프다고, anything. When it comes to nouns though, we add 이라고 or 라고, depending on what the noun ends on, a vowel or a consonant. Here's an example. 선생님이 좋은 사람이라고 생각해요. I think my teacher is a good person, or I think teacher is a good person. You can actually say this directly to the teacher, even though you're kind of referring to them in third person, but in Korean it makes sense. Here the topic of the sentence is the teacher being a good person. So the point of the sentence is 좋은 사람. That's why we just add 이라고, turning it into 사람이라고 생각해요. Simple? I hope so. If you want to see more examples of how to use 생각하다, I will put them all in the blog post, so make sure to watch out for that. Okay, so now I want to go back to the first example that I gave you with I thought she was pretty. And if we want to use a sentence in English, we can use it in a lot of ways. For example, I could have looked at a girl yesterday and thought that she was pretty. But at the same time, I could have looked at the girl, thought that she was pretty, then she came closer to me, and then I was like, oh, I thought she was pretty. Like, I mistakenly thought that she was pretty. In English, there's no special way to express the fact that you thought your opinion was right, but it ended up being wrong, and you're admitting that. In Korean, there is. And for that, we use 줄 알았다. And we can say that it kind of uses the 는 것 principle, apart from the 것 part, when we add a certain particle to a verb, like 니은 or 은 or 는 or 을. So if you want to transform the original sentence of 그녀가 예쁘다고 생각했어요, then all we need to do is just conjugate 예쁘다 into the 는 것 principle. So this is how the original sentence 그녀가 예쁘다고 생각했어요 is going to sound in the oh, I thought she was pretty mistakenly kind of way. 그녀가 예쁜 줄 알았어요. I mistakenly thought this girl was pretty. Here you can see that 예쁘다 is being conjugated into 예쁜, and because it's an adjective and it's in past tense, we're adding 니은 to it. But you guys know the drill. We've drilled it with 는 것, we've drilled it with 것 같다, so I hope you are fairly familiar with it by now, and if you're not, head over to my couple of previous videos to brush up on that. So here's another example of the difference between two sentences. First, you're just expressing your opinion. 후배라고 생각했어요. I thought you were a younger coworker. In Korean working environment, the age is really important. If in an English-speaking environment, we can just say, oh, my coworker, my teammate, my colleague, to anyone of any age who works with us. In Korea, we can't really do that. You have to refer in a specific way to someone who is older or more experienced than you, and you also refer to people who are younger or less experienced than you in a specific way as well. So, 후배 is a way to refer to someone younger / less experienced. So with this sentence, you're basically saying, oh, I thought you were a 후배. Simple, just your opinion. But if you're saying 후배인 줄 알았어요, then that means that you're expressing the fact that you've been mistakenly thinking that they are a junior or a younger coworker. Let's say you've referred to them in 반말, in a less formal speech, and you've asked them to do something and they're like, oh, you know, I don't really do that because I work over there. And you're like, oh shoot, he's actually not a 후배. He's actually maybe more experienced than me or is older than me. So in that situation, you would say, oh, I thought mistakenly that you were a 후배. Do you see the difference? Alright, I don't want to go into 줄 알았다 too much because I actually want to dedicate an entire episode next week to it because it has another meaning, its actual original meaning. But before I go, I just wanted to point out something that I should have pointed out in the previous episode, but I didn't, and that is we're beginning to deal with complex sentences and multi-tense sentences. So we're combining different tenses in one sentence, and that can be pretty complicated for beginners. So what I want you guys to know is, for example, with 줄 알았다 itself is always going to be in past tense because that implies that you thought something originally. And with words like 생각하다, you are just going to conjugate it either in present or in past tense, and this is where you're going to get the overall tense of the sentence. I thought. And then whatever you thought about, that can have a tense of its own, past, future, present tense. So always make sure to kind of differentiate between those two and try not to confuse them. I know you will at some point because I've done that and all of us students do that. So just try to focus your attention a little bit on that, and I hope that will help you. Here are 3 examples of the same sentence in the same tense, but the topic of what you're talking about is going to be in the past, present, and the future. Here we go. 아버지가 저에게 돈을 준 줄 알았어요. I thought my dad gave me money. 아버지가 저에게 돈을 주는 줄 알았어요. I thought my dad is giving me money. And you can say that in a situation where you see your dad kind of going into his pocket and you think that he's gonna take out his wallet and give you money, but then he ends up taking out a napkin or something. That is a situation where you can say this sentence. And lastly, 아버지가 저에게 돈을 줄 알았어요. I thought my dad will give me money. And yes, you are saying 줄 in a way where the second 줄 actually will have a stronger 리을 sound because 알았다 starts with a vowel, and because of the carryover rule, the 리을 gets a bit of a stronger sound. So it ends up sounding like 줄 알았다. Yeah, so that is it for today. I hope that helped. I hope you learned something new. Let me know if you have any questions. Tutors and native Korean speakers, please let me know if I made any mistakes, typos, anything like that. I'm a queen of typos and mistakes. But that is how we learn. I take all of your advices and helpful remarks, and I try to learn and get better together with you guys. Alright, I hope you all have a wonderful upcoming weekend, and I will see you all next week, like always. Bye! 안녕!